Good evening.
Good evening, Father.
It's just wonderful. I never knew that Dr. Jeffries would say such beautiful things about me. I'm just a very humble village chief who runs my little affairs. And when he was mentioning the names of Osajifo, Admon, my predecessor, then my mind went to this fine gentleman sitting here, Honorable John Mitchell. He is the honorary consular of Trinidad and Tobago in Ghana. So, we went together, and he flew all the way down from Ghana because of this. And I arrived, I think, this morning. So, John, thanks for showing up. And we are trying to do a museum together. He's providing the money and I'm providing the money. I'm also very happy to see my sister. She lives in Maryland. I've never seen her so beautifully dressed. And when I saw her, I said, it's a scarlet, but it's her, all right. And she came with some friends. When I heard the drums and the singing, and my sisters would actually catch it, because what I wanted to say is, you know, and then I have some friends here. There's a lady who came all the way from Boston, Liz Morrison. This girl protected me. She came to stay with me and made sure that nobody saw me on a particular day since I was too tired. Elizabeth, thank you very much. You know? And then Lavinia is somewhere. Seems I know the girl is right. And then there is Betty Goldsmith, who drove down to see me. So, but it's really thrilled and invigorating to be among intellectual warriors and people who are excavating Africa's past and unearthing her intangible wealth, originality, and creativity. And then making a feast of it, as we are doing, you people have done at this dinner. I was wondering whether you will let me talk before you eat, or you'll eat before I talk. Thank God you ate first, so I can now bore you. I sometimes refer to myself as a Ghanaian. It's something that I say very sadly, because anytime any African affirms that I'm Nigerian, I'm Ghanaian, I'm Togolese, we are only affirming our divisions, not created by us. But just for the moment, when I say I'm Ghanaian, please understand that it's a method to reaching Africa. At the same time too, I say I'm a Ghanaian and feel proud about it, mainly because we are one of the very few spaces in Africa where the people decided to name themselves. Others are still attached to the names given to them by their masters. They become what I refer to as the Tobies. They are not the Kuntakintes. I heard the beautiful lady sing, and when she was singing Duke Ellington, I said, I wish she could continue, you know? And then, because everything that I'm going to say is English, and then the young girls and young boys came to dance for us. And I said, this is the spirit of liberation. If I'm going to talk today, I wish we would all have joined them in dancing. There wouldn't be any need to talk again. Because whatever I'm going to say is within that dance. The spirit of Africa can be expressed through dance. And every dance form in Africa is a form of liberation of the spirit. Well, I had hoped I was going to wear a dinner jacket or a jacket to be here and sit down quietly somewhere and also enjoy the food. But Lavinia, what did me to wear this? But you see, if I had joined you quietly, I would have been one of the ancestors, quietly watching what we are doing. And so let's spare a moment in silence to acknowledge their presence. I know that the libation was poured this morning. I also know that Dr. Clark's has been, we've lost the widow to Dr. Clark. So let's just pray a moment in silence and remember that they never leave us. They never leave us. They are with us here in this room. When Lady Bianca was singing, lift every voice and sing. I know the song was written late, but whenever you listen to that song, it takes you into activity. It takes you all the way to Africa. It takes you across the Atlantic. It makes you remember the Middle Passage. It brings tears to your eyes, and it makes you committed to the cause of being African. Lady Bianca, thank you very much for inspiring us with your beautiful voice. But the vibrations, as we call the names of our ancestors in our heads, just like whenever we say John Henry Clark, it's not Clark alone, it's just a vibration that represents those who have gone on. So when the congressman, Elijah Cummings, died, passed on recently, somebody sent me a text, and I sent a text back. I said, now we can worry him, because our ancestors don't sleep. We worry them to help us. So that is it. And as we are celebrating AHSA's golden anniversary towards an African Renaissance, African diaspora collaborations, I know that they are here with us and they will guide our thoughts. The cloth I'm wearing, I wore it for the first time a few months ago when a friend of mine, who is a filmmaker, called Koan San, I'm sure that Dr. Jeffries will know him. He's the one who did Heritage Africa. But the man has spent his life savings doing a museum in my side of Ghana. And he calls the museum Isa Abrewa, Ask the Old Woman. For Africans, such as myself, each woman represents the divine womb, out of which he made the beauty of creation. The power of womanhood acts like the loving spine of our righteous existence, as they carry the secrets of the past to be used to shape the future. See, in Ghana or among the Akan, but I'm sure that all over the West Coast, whenever we argue or we disagree on certain things, they will say, go and ask the old woman, the mysterious old woman. And so, Kwanzaa named his museum Isa Abrewa, Ask the Old Woman. Those of you who have the fortune, I think both Lavinia and Elizabeth have been there. If you come and you want to come to Mary, you have nowhere to stay, you're that broke, I'll give you Gary and also take you to Isa Abrewa. If you're part of this conference, I'll take you there free of charge. But a people's dignity is always measured by the dignity accorded to womanhood. And as I was coming, my mind went on Lady Shelby Louise, who is taking care of me. Am I taking care of you? And of course, our mother, Lady Rosalind Jeffries. These are examples. Whenever you see them, you see the majesty of the African woman. You know, especially when they have the gray hairs and we can ask them, Isa Abrewa. I didn't really think that I'll be writing about women, but I see that this room is filled with women. This afternoon, it was women. And I was very happy that I caught Dr. Rikana Chihombori Kwau's speech, just a bit of it. But you see, she spoke and she had the guts. Somebody spoke this afternoon about the fact that all our stories have been about men, mainly because it's not the men, it's men who have been writing and telling the story. So they leave the women out. Sometimes when we talk about Ghana, for example, struggle for independence, hardly anybody knows that her grandmother was the one who brought the struggle to a head. But it's all about men. So when Dr. Jeffrey says we must watch Harriet, Dr. Jeffries, I'll watch Harriet before I get back to Ghana. But it took a woman to galvanize the continent and provoke thoughts about our impotent and fake narcissistic leadership, neocolonialism, and what some of us are now referring to as enhanced colonialism. I've heard a lot of people blaming France, and that is simply sinking into victimhood. Without corrective study and actions, that is a huge step debasing one's self-respect and the giving away of power. That is not the path of victory. Blame games never give you achievement. They never give you victory. Blame has never undone what is done. There's an African saying, when you use a finger to point at anything, the other four fingers point to you. So misattributing blame leads to the repetition of mistakes. In fact, Nyala Vazam said, blame means shifting the responsibility for where you are, from where you are onto someone or something else, rather than accepting responsibility for your role in that experience. The renaissance that we are all looking forward to will come through such gatherings, which are to inspire us to focus in spite of the distractions, focus our minds on the solutions and corrective actions. I'm paraphrasing Dr. Clark. He's like a saint. As powerful people do not teach powerless people to take power away from them. And I also say that, in fact, the oppressor will not teach the oppressed the secrets of the oppression. I firmly believe in AHSA as an association of scholars of African descent dedicated to the preservation, interpretation, and presentation of the historical cultural heritage of African peoples. That is what you claim you are, and I always pray that you go on, inspire, and find solutions for a powerful African future by any means necessary. I deliberately added the Malcolm X statement. As Dr. Jeffries would tell you, Malcolm was a great friend of my predecessor. And I know that that statement is necessary because in both the continent and the diaspora, to think about freeing peoples of African descent is to be marked for elimination by the forces which benefit from Africa's weakness. Malcolm's axiom that there is no better than adversity. Every defeat, every heartbreak, every loss contains its own seed, its own lesson on how to improve your performance next time. This is what we must carry with us. This is what must be felt within the association, that the work they're doing is for all of us, and that the seed they are planting is going to take us into the future. In fact, when I was a young boy, one of my heroes that I used to enjoy, and I still carry his image in my head, Huey Newton, reminds us that the first lesson a revolutionary must learn is that he is a doomed man. All of you as intellectuals, African-centered intellectuals, believe you me, are marked for death. They have to remove your mind from the existence because your mind is the mind of liberation. And those who want you unfree would never allow your seeds to be watered for their future. But don't be afraid. What is there? What has gone on before you? So this is what it is. Any African-centered scholar who yearns for the renaissance of the peoples of African descent understands that the struggle is not a dinner party and may even cost his or her life. We have seen a large body of intellectual martyrdom in our history. Last year, September, I was very fortunate to go to Limpopo, South Africa, to go and give a speech relating to a young man most people haven't heard about. They call him Abraham. Is there a South African here? Okay, my accent is bad. Okompotse Tiro. Tiro died at the age of 28. In fact, he is credited to have begun the Black Consciousness movement, which we now hear a lot about, Biko and so on, and also taught in Soweto, relating to the students who carried the uprising. But he ran away to Botswana. They found him with a parcel bomb and blew him to bits at the age of 28. And as I sat talking to one of the men who gathered his body, the bits and bits of his body, he started crying. And it inspired me that others have faced death and have even died because of the cause of liberation, which is embodied in Africa. To be yourself, to be African, is in itself a statement of power. Because when you realize, when you know, I don't know if you have to put it, but when you feel wherever you are that I am African, you are expressing, you're making a statement, a power identity. Don't just gloss over it. It has a unique meaning. And that meaning comes from the idea that of I am, I know, self-knowledge. And this, as Anthony Brother would tell us, has been taught us right from keynote, right? That when you know, then you know who you are. And of course, if you know who you are, and you are teaching your brothers and sisters about who they are and bringing them together for unity, then you know that you are heading for trouble. You definitely be doomed, as they will get to you. The nations of Africa is the purpose of our gathering here. Without truth, responsibility, and duty, one cannot be deemed an ancestor. Of course, we have living ancestors, like Dr. Jeffries. Our ancestors ate a part of truth, responsibility, and duty. It is that path that made Nkrumah's party in 1951 say, if the people must be free, if the country must be saved from imperialist domination and colonial misrule, they only can save themselves. Only Africans can save Africa. No one else. And that is what your conference, I believe, is about. Responsibility is realized from the understanding and appreciation of the truth of our own history from an African-centered platform. To be on that platform is to have a consciousness that is streamed through the authenticity of the African experience. Therefore, your awareness of the universe at any point in time and space is informed by the experience of one's ancestors and not the ancestors of those who killed, maimed, exploited, as well as dehumanized African people of African descent. This is the problem of Africa today, the continent today. And when I came here and I heard the things that they were saying, I said, this whole conference, I wish would be taken across the Atlantic back to the mother, because that womb is in a turmoil, the turmoil of the wrong semen being planted in it. We have to get it out and replace it with our own authentic semen. Once responsibility is accepted, thought and action must follow. We have to move out of the defeatist culture of blame. As the beautiful Maya Angelou stated, to grow up is to stop putting blame on parents. We are all aware that Edward Blyden's generation inspired us with Africa for Africans. Inherent in that slogan is the fact that no one can build Africa for Africans. Only Africans can build Africa for Africans. As Joseline, my favorite hero, said, besides Malcolm, we have dared to be free. Let us dare to be so by ourselves and for ourselves. The questions today that we need to ask consistently: are we free? And what chains us to unfreedom? And who benefits from our unfreedom? Are we ourselves? It takes a woman. It took it took Dr. Tiomboro Kwao to galvanize us again, to reawaken us. And I can only say that freedom-loving Africans would always be grateful to her. As for me, at the moment I'm a coward. And because I'm a coward, that's why when a woman ordered me to wear this cloth, I wore it. I dare not disobey the dictates of an African woman. Lady Rosalind Jeffries, I thank you for gracing this occasion, just as Lady Shelby Lewis, I hope you would always keep taking care of me, even after this, in spirit. But you also reminded me of a certain form of negligence, which I must make amends when I return to the mother continent. And promise you that as I get back, I'm going to read Francis Welton's ISIS papers, Oyeronke, Oyewumi's The Invasion of Women, and definitely Marine Barney's Yoruba. It takes a woman to bring out the wisdom inherent in the teaching. Your culture is your immune system. I find this symbolized by my favorite symbol on the language staff, the akokobatan, the mother hen and chicks. But this is not the forum to expand on that particular symbol. The funny thing is that whilst one woman directed me to wear a cloth, another quietly managed to get some Ghanaians to attend this event. See, when I wear the cloth, then I have to sit in certain taboos. So, as you were passing the food around, the dessert just came around. I was salivating, but I dare not open this mouth and pass any kind of food or drink through it. They would take the story home, and the next thing you hear is that he has been distilled. So I was wondering if this is a case of entrapment. But all the same, when I received this invitation to present myself at this 50th conference, I did not for a second imagine that it would be held at a center named after one of my role models when I was young, Thurgood Marshall. Further, given the array of African-centered intellectuals on this side of the Atlantic, I could not bring myself to accept the fact that a peaceful and happily retired teacher, such as my humble self, we were brought across here to this sitting to exhibit my virtual ignorance on this world stage. Of course, it may be argued that on the globe, every dot you stand on is a center. So I came from my global center to this global center. Be that as it may, when I listened to Anthony T. Brother, where is he? He was walking around here. Okay. When I listened to Anthony T. Brother's commentaries yesterday, as we went through DC, I made a confession to him. I said, you have made me feel authentically ignorant. In my head, I was replaying Black Athena, Martin Benall's Black Athena, and so on. But it brought Luther King's statement that nothing in the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. I did not dream that entering Washington is to walk into my own heritage. Never for one strength. You know, bringing home Marine Barney's observation that our cultural roots are the most ancient in the world. The spiritual concepts of our ancestors gave birth to religious thought. African people believe in the oneness, blah, 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 blah. But the important thing is that I sit on a platform created by the ancestors. But I never for one thought that that platform was used in the making of Washington. Tony, thank you very much. I know you're a black man. To study and know your heritage, i.e. your inheritance, through the ages by the struggle of your ancestors, is the foundation of real power. This brings an appreciation to the idea that Africa's underdevelopment has been blamed on local culture and the lack of proper values. Hardly any plausible thought has been provided for the acceptance of such contrived myths. However, it's an undeniable fact that cultural breakdown leads to easier pickings. It may be noted that all kinds of courses and so on have been designed to get the African to forget his culture. And we get brainwashed into thinking that in order to learn to fly, we must first chop off our feet. After we have chopped off our ancestral cultural feet, we have found it impossible to modernize. And then because there's no feet to stand on and strength to take off. This conference and the thoughts, the intellects like yours, are really to give us back our feet, to help us recreate our feet. And for that, and the little bit that I know, I can only say thank you. For over a century, such absurdities have ensnared some Africans who think they are educated. Any African-centered intellectual will see through the diversity of pretense or alleged reasons. Understandably, contemporary Africa appears to nurture conscientious stupidity. Power is behavior based on your heritage. Look at the so-called African nations. Their power, those who call themselves leaders, from where do they derive their power? These are questions we need to interrogate. Does anyone committed to Africa will be proud of AHSA from the inception? I could go on and on about AHSA, but there is a strong intellectual need to move from the paradigm of strength, to move from the paradigm of weakness to a paradigm of strength. Naim Akbar has been very good at articulating those kind of views, and I don't need to say them here. There, on the continent, appears to be a dearth of deep generational thinkers among the youth. But that kind of observation, I said it about the mother continent. At the same time, too, you see it through the diaspora, from the West Indies into America, and you wonder what's happening. This has been created, obviously, this has been created by the ivory towers and not by the ebony towers. It is the role of AHSA to turn those towers into ebony towers. So you find that Africa is filled with bootlickers who don't see the big picture, and they drag everyone else down and make the future opaque. It is that kind of thinking of being dragged down that I believe led to Dr. Eric Clark and others to create AHSA. So it is your role to lift us up and provide a platform for us. Now let me say a little bit about my mind and how it grew. When I was young, I went to high school, little boy. I won't mention the age, otherwise somebody will calculate how old I am. And I'm eternal. But the most important thing is, we had somebody who came to teach us about enslavement. That wasn't part of our course. But there was a world we didn't know, a history we didn't know. It shocked the school. We were about 600 people in the school. It shocked everybody in the school because this knowledge, and everybody who was in the school at that time and was taught that by that Guyanese felt that history. Later on, I grew up a bit and I could read and had Malcolm X's autobiography. And that one turned the world upside down. Of course, the Black Panthers were strolling all over the place. So some of us were walking around with black berets and black leather gloves, bonded with Bobby Seale and so on and so forth. It made us feel special, but we were still going on finding ourselves. We went through all forms of education. Then one day, I had a friend called Novell. Never seen the guy, maybe one day we'll meet again. He came from Chicago, and I took him to the Cape Coast Castle. The castle was in a truly historic state, not the spruced up castle you have now, or what you call the slave dungeons. It was eerie and so on. We went into the dungeon, and then stood on the parapet. And as we were looking across the ocean, we don't know what happened to us. The two of us turned and embraced each other and cried. We cried, literally, two men. And I was very, very hard man, muscular, great athlete, and so on. And here was Novell weeping. And we said, so this separates us. It's a feeling I've never had in my life again. It was like something turned us around to hold each other. That was in the 70s. went on doing some foolish things and so on. Then unfortunately for me, my late uncle passed on. He had a lot of books. I'll pass by them. Then one day a book caught my eye and I took it out. It was autographed. Then I said, okay, I'll look at this book. Notes of an African World Revolution by John Henry Clark. That book made me know that I wasn't educated, just as Browder has made me feel yesterday. I read the book and I realized that, no, we've got it wrong. And if your enemy cuts a path for you, it's a path to your doom. That's about time we turn round. It's about time we start cover. I knew a very beautiful woman called Dr. Ruth Bernard Law. And she sent books to me. And one of them happened to be the Afrocentric Paradigm, and edited by Amma Mazama. And the introduction shook me. So you see, the knowledge you're making here as AHSA, as the descendants of Dr. Henry Clark, is needed on the mother continent. Those books have made me who I am. That book, that fat book lying there, was generated by talks such as what AHSA is bringing out. So please, what you're doing here is very, 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 very vital for the survival and continuity of the African. So my mind then went back. That I remember in front of the Cape Coast Castle at the gates, we had done the march from Mfasum School. And then a car was brought and a very slightly built man stood up and started talking. And the man spoke that it mesmerized everybody who was there. And in front of the castle, before the gates were opened, he referred to something that what you and I are involved in is the sacred mission. Not just a mission, but the sacred mission. That man was Dr. Nana Jeffries. Please give me a round of applause. Unfortunately, we've tried to find the speech because I'm sure he doesn't know. He was moved by the Spirit. And we see him, Dad, standing there. This is the sacred mission. This is the sacred mission. No. That was something. And it moved all of us. In fact, we were silent. We didn't know whether to clap, to cheer, but we were inspired. What AHSA is involved in is the sacred mission. And we should all be part of it and continue. When I heard Anthony Browder speak of mathematics yesterday, I was smiling because most of us are not aware that African knowledge systems are embedded with mathematics, relativity, and astronomy. I don't want to divert because this is not a teaching place. But anytime you hear the story about Kweku and Nancy, what you call Aunt Nancy, what you are actually saying is quantum physics. They are laughing because they pass it down from generation to generation. And unless you interrogate Anansi and the stories behind them, you just believe what an European lecturer comes up, these are trickster stories. And yet, when they interpret them as trickster stories among the Akan, for example, they also call God Anansi. So God is a trickster, you know? So my mind went in there. I know we are using the Gregorian calendar, but we still have accepted that this is the year of return. And it's so important that a young boy who sells books on the street saw me and said, Nana, after a number of African Americans have been coming to Ghana, and says, Nana, they say they are part of us, that we are the same people. And I smiled. I just smiled. I was so happy in my heart that it takes one gesture for somebody who doesn't know, who is very ignorant, to open his eyes and see that we are one. I smiled and thanked the God of our ancestors. Interestingly, my president, Nana Kobina Nketsia V, also took the heavy responsibility of going around the West Indies and inviting African children home. I think he also came to the States. There is a truism in that work that he may not even have thought about. No matter what happens, no matter where we go, we shall always see ourselves as one. And the idea of collaboration, in terms of intellectual collaboration, is a foregone conclusion. You cannot be African American without Africa. We can't be Africans without a diaspora. One of my favorite young men, Thomas Sankara, I think somebody was supposed to speak at Paul Sankara. He did? Oh, I missed it. Is he related to Thomas?
Yes, his father.
Oh dear. Anyway, Thomas Sankara, very young man, moved the whole of Upper Volta, changed their name to Burkina Faso. Said, the enemies of a people are those who keep them in ignorance. However, I go on to say that the worst fellows are those who deliberately subvert the self-knowledge of a people. If a war is waged on any culture worthy of self-reference, that culture gets into a defense or protective stance. So, it is the duty of AHSA to make sure that we get back our own self-knowledge. Without it, Egypt will be nothing, because then the great teaching in Kemet of man, know thyself, will become silly. And this is what AHSA has to do. As Malcolm said, education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. This organization needs to prepare the young ones today for tomorrow. Of course, I know that we have a breed of Africans who are not conscious that we are in a war, as Francis Creswelson would say, and they become the enemy within. A breed of Africans who serve as the fifth column of cultures which benefit from Africa's cultural weakness. These people are even more dangerous to Africa. There's a saying in Fante that Abobia Bakawa of Iwute, if any animal will bite you, then that's the animal in your cloth. So these are those who are with us. They wear the kind of skin we wear, but they are one thing. They are there to betray us, to those who are enemies. But the real education is like looking at Bruce Lee's movie, Enter the Dragon. He says, never take your eyes. They said it there, of your enemies. Without a cultural definition and perception, change may actually be cultural decay and genocide. Kwame Ture, who used to come and sit with my late uncle and sometimes sleep in the house that John wants to turn into a museum, reminds us that we cannot have the oppressors telling the oppressed how to rid themselves of the oppressor. This is the challenge of the collaboration. And the challenge today is, how do we mainstream the consciousness of the heritage studies so that it becomes the consciousness of the youth? Once again, I talk about Huey Newton. He says, my fear was not of death itself, but a death without meaning. To die without making a contribution in uplifting your people means to the African a wasted life. You can have all the money you want in the world, but if your life does not uplift your people, then you are failing one thing. What you are failing in doing is to express the spirit of Ubuntu. Over 400 years of unpaid wages, blood, sweat, and tears of millions of our ancestors. Over a century of destructive balkanization and forceful colonial control of our space and water, and looting of everything of value in our land and sea. The covert and overt murder of some of our brightest, genuine and visionary leaders and replacing them with clueless puppets, whilst at the same time blaming our predicament on poor leadership. Maintaining a choking control over our continent through neocolonialism and manipulating the curricula of our schools and universities to graduate mainly insensitive, ignorant youth whose only desire is self-advancement in the midst of mass suffering of their people. You cannot advance without your people. It's only when your people advance that you advance. This is what AHSA needs to bring back to us. But our history as a people did not start with enslavement, neither did it start with colonization, as some people want to believe. Needless to mention that, and as the poet was saying, mentioned before that, before the Arab and European encounters, our ancestors built civilizations, which up to this day marvels all of sane humanity. Fanon eloquently stated, each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. That is what AHSA should inspire the young ones to do. A fulfillment of our mission as a generation, it is instructive to know what has worked and what hasn't. That's what we say in the university, Strategy and Tactics 101. We cannot continue to fight an organized system with a disorganized front and expect to do any better than we've done in the past. It makes sense, therefore, for Africans of the soil and of the blood to intensify the conceptualization of our Africanness as the only surest weapon for victory in our renaissance and world peace. 400 years of oppression is enough. The time has come, and the time is now. I'm here in praise of AHSA. And I, even though I sit on the platform of heritage, will always sit at the feet of this great association. You, directly or indirectly, have made me who and what I am. Now, there's a very fine gentleman who is a friend to AHSA. He's old, and when I said I was coming here, he sent a message to Afia and said, tell Dr. Jeffries that we must all repeat the Cabral pledge. The gentleman's name is Chinwezu. He lives in Ghana, he suffered a stroke, but he is recovering. So may I please ask all of us to stand and repeat after me. He says I should tell you to raise your right hand. We, as intellectual workers of and for the black race, solemnly pledge to our gods, our ancestors, and our future generations, that from this day forward, all the decisions we take will be taken with absolute independence. In our way of thinking and acting. This is a sacrosanct principle. And it is my duty to apply and defend it at all costs.
To apply and defend it at all costs.
So that's the Cabral pledge. There's a few things, but that's the most important thing. But before we say it, please, let us all raise our hands again. The two hands. And this time let us say, we are Africans.
We are Africans.
We are Africans.
We are Africans.
It's not too loud. I want the roof to... We are Africans.
We are Africans.